definitely shit happens because did you all know this is my first 10 o'clock shit happens live? Yes. Because with shit happens, anything can happen. And literally, shout out to this incredible human being who decided to bring me at 10 p.m. But I don't think it's his fault, right? Because I decided to put the availability there. But for specific people, I don't mind coming on at 10 o'clock and bringing the house down. And it's amazing because today, the whole day, I've had podfesters, and most of them are first, like podfesters who I made for the first time this year. So it's been a lot of fun, and this one is extremely special because we almost do the same shit. So I'm so excited about this conversation around mental health and creativity and thriving creatively and emotional because I'm all about that shit. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and bring on my guest. Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, am I
Jermaine. Sorry,
muted?
why do I always say Jeremy? Jermaine.
No, you nailed it the second time. You got it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
How you doing? How you doing?
Yo, I am doing great. Today went swimmingly. I streamed. Also a streamer on Twitch. I streamed earlier, and it was just a lot of fun. We played Tekken. We talked about work. We talked about the holidays, and it was fun. It was good times.
So let me ask you, right? Since you brought it up about streaming on Twitch, do you get? Are you already like? How does one get paid to stream on Twitch, or do you have to do it for a certain level, like how YouTube and TikTok, where you have to get a certain amount of
Hmm.
followers or videos or this to be able to start making money? How does Twitch work? Because I know we
Um,
don't talk in the podcasting industry. We don't talk about Twitch as much.
Yeah, that and rightfully so, because Twitch is a night. No, I'm just playing. So with Twitch, it's kind of like YouTube. They have an affiliate program. So in order to apply for the affiliate program, you need to have at least 50 people following you, which is easy. But you also have to have an average of 3 people watching you for a 30-day period. So every stream that you have up, you have to have at least 3 people watching you. Once that happens, you get the ability to have subs on your channel, the ability to get what they call bits, and that's just like I think it's $1 for 100 bits, and your viewers can send those to you during your stream, and you can have things go off and like lights happen and an alert will happen. But essentially, they're donating 5, 10, 20, whatever the money amount is to you during your live stream. So that's one way you can get paid. Like I said, the other way is through subs. You can have a tiered sub. I think it starts at 5, goes all the way up to 20. And with that, you can provide your users with different emotes they can use, different special commands in chat they can use, whatever you decide to provide them with. That's like the incentive for them to sub to your channel. And those are the traditional ways, out without thinking outside the box, that you can make money as a streamer on Twitch.
I like how they made it so easy, unlike YouTube or TikTok, where you have to have like 10,000 or
Yeah.
something like to have 3 people to watch me live. I can easily like create
Hmm.
3 different accounts and put on my 3 phones over there. You sit on the corner, you laptop, iPad, shit. Like you're
Yes.
all tuning in to see me for a month. Let's
Oh
get
my
it. Like.
goodness. You just unlocked the cheat code. Like what you just said, it takes people years to realize that. And I honestly, when I first started, that's exactly what I did. I had a laptop from work, I had a cell phone, and luckily I had one of my buddies. He was in there as a real person. So I had like 2 things running at once. I did that for a month and I got an affiliate. And that's when you start thinking, all right, how do I differentiate my stream from somebody else's? How do I make my
Yeah.
stream entertaining? But like you said, they make it easy for you to get in there so you can potentially start making money within 30 days on Twitch after streaming.
I,
So I
I,
do enjoy that.
I, I love that. I don't like to when things are so easy. I don't over excess myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I need 3 people online. Literally, first of all, in reality, I have like 6 emails, so I just
Yes.
I'll have a harder time choosing which email I want to use for Twitch compared
Yes.
to finding the.
When you
But
get easy route, take the easy route so you don't have to stress about it.
exactly, like once we are in, once we pass the 30 days,
Yeah.
now let's actually start growing it and working it.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna waste those 30 days trying to actually grow, and I know I can
Hmm.
fast track this shit. I'm all
Exactly.
about that. And
Yes.
we were also talking before you came on backstage. You were also shout out to Adam Shively. You know, I finally am
Yes.
able to say his name without wondering how to say his last name. I for 2 years I've
Oh,
had a
wait.
hard time saying
Say it
Adam's
again because I
last
don't know how to
name.
say it yet. One more time.
Shively, like
See, I would have
Shively.
messed that up. Got it. Shy Blee. I can remember that. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Once I started knowing like to put the to kind of take them apart and then put them
Yes.
together. I was like, oh, Shively. Like, I'm Shively. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
He needs to pay me to teach people how to pronounce his name.
Right?
You were just
Exactly.
on his pod pals. How was
Hmm.
that? I've missed so many of those. And for anybody who doesn't know what pod pals is, you need to first of all, if you don't know who Adam is and you're in podcasting, something is wrong with you.
Exactly.
Adam Shively is the host of Podcasting Business School. Is my unofficial coach because when I get the money, I am gonna hire him. He deserves
Yes.
all my money because he do gives out gem, is very helpful, very incredible. Like shit happens became shit happens because of an audit I did with Adam. Like,
Oh,
like
nice. That's awesome.
my yeah, my logo when we were switching it, Adam was among the few people who were a part of helping me decide finalizing the new logo. So
Yeah.
Adam has been a big, huge part of my journey. Even came on my podcast to celebrate his 300 episode. Was it
What?
2 years ago almost? So yeah, so I am
Wow.
a big fan. I just hate how much I keep missing podcasts. He does podcasts where he teaches for like 30 minutes and then he lets
Mhm.
the other 15 minutes 24 people to introduce themselves, talk about their podcast and what type of guests they're looking for and what type of guests they want. So kind of like a networking, and it
Yes.
gets broadcasted all over. So it's a very good opportunity for people who are looking for guests or wanting
Hmm.
guests, or even just wanting your show to be out there, because the platform that Adam has in itself is, and I've met incredible people because of his platform and podcast. So how was it?
Yeah. It was my first time, so I didn't know what to expect. I heard about it through Podfest. He was talking about it. He's like, sign up, make sure that you're here. And it was a lot of fun. It is, I enjoy hanging out with like-minded people. And luckily that was just, it was 15 of us, it was just us podcasters. We all had different niches. There's somebody, I think her name was Helen, and I think her podcast is Sleepless. All she does is read the most boring list ever
For
to help
people
you
to
go
go
to
to sleep.
sleep.
I love Ellen.
I
Yes.
was like, that is genius. I was like, let me be a guest on your show. I'll read whatever you want. I'll read the encyclopedia. Just let me know. But so it was real dope. I met a lot of dope people through there. I made 2 connections. I got 2 guests for my podcast through it, and I wasn't expecting anything. So highly suggested if you have a podcast and you want to not only learn information about how to grow your podcast, but to meet other podcasters, check out his website, check out his podcast. It's super awesome. I love it.
And that's so true. Like the amount of connections you get, and you say you already got 2 guests, and that's just by being there. Imagine
Yeah.
once it actually airs, because Adam,
Right.
Adam always has content. Like this
Yeah.
episode will probably come out in like 2 months. Like that's
Yeah.
how much content he has, because it's constantly
Yes.
he has the podcast, he has the mini podcast, he has the audit, he has, and
Yeah.
so it's incredible. But I just love him, and it's funny you say this was your first time. So did you just meet Adam at Podfest?
Yeah, that was. I
His
never even
talk?
knew his podcast existed until at Podfest. That's when I met him. I subscribed to his podcast. I listened to 2 or 3 of them. One was about the ratio of how many guests you should have versus just podcast with you, and I was like, I didn't even think about that. And ever since then, I've been hooked. So yeah, Podfest. Speaking of which, like Podfest is amazing. Like I cannot wait until next year. It was so much fun.
It is. It is. I think I don't have to tell. I think people get tired of me talking about how much Podfest is how much fun it is, and the thing I love about Podfest, right? It's fun in the educational. It's fun in the connections. It's fun
Yes.
in the just chilling out. It's fun in the fun sense. Like it's all the packages in one, and the
Yeah.
diverse and the knowledge. You
Yes.
just get mind blown. And I remember my first one. I literally was like, I am so confused right now. I feel like I'm just being bombarded. And then ever since, I was like, you know what? I kind of now run this shit. Like now I'm
Yes.
a pro at Podfest.
Yes.
Like,
Hell yeah. I thought you like owned half a Podfest. Like every time I saw you, you were the helping somebody, or you would like honestly, I don't know what your affiliation with Podfest is, but I feel like you're like the official spokesperson of Podfest because like every time I saw you, you had the biggest smile on your face, super greeting, super warm. And I'm like, that's rare. Like going to some of these conventions I've been to, people were like, it's like mad and upset. Life of the party. Every time I saw, I was like, it's 7 at night. How are you have this much energy right now? What the fuck?
people
So
were
yeah,
even asking, like, what time are you sleeping? Because you're constantly
yeah,
here. You constantly have a beer on your hand. I
yep.
know how many you've been drinking, but you're still running the shit. I'm like, I think God gives me a different energy every time
Oh
I'm ready
yeah.
for Podfest. I think, like, God already knows. And it's funny you say that because I started going to Podfest in end of 2020, and then there
Okay.
was it was VidFest. They're doing a small masterclass. Then 2021 they add their actual whatever, and I got a ticket from Buzzsprout. I did not know
Yeah.
anything. I was just new in podcasting, like because my podcast started in 2020. So I was
Okay.
like, what the fuck is this? But then we are home. We got nothing. I have to do it from my home. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And just by being there, that's when I met Adam. I met Justin, I met all them, and they were the way they were just easy with helping with knowledge and
Yes.
sharing and supporting. I was like, I want to be around these people. So ever since then, I've been attending anything Podfest. And
Yeah.
then came 2022 when I went for the first time in virtual, and I little bit. When we all came back, all of us got COVID. Like
Yeah.
everybody. Like you think this time how people were saying they got
Oh
COVID. Last
yeah.
time was a
Everybody.
mess, but everybody was like, it was worth it, like
Oh yeah, right?
So when I went back last year, I was like, okay, I wanna volunteer because now I know people. Now I've experienced what it is. Now I'm ready.
Yes.
So I was like, I wanna volunteer. I wanna be a part of everything, and
Yeah.
I became a part of everything. And now this
Yeah.
year, Adam was the one who was like, yeah, Paula is officially the mayor of Podfest, and I ran with it.
Yeah.
And now Paula is officially the mayor of Podfest. Chris said next year they're not gonna have me wear the ambassador. They're gonna make me
Yeah.
wear the mayor of Podfest.
Hell
But
yeah.
it's
You
something
should.
about a community that's just welcoming and
Mhm.
allow you to be whoever the fuck you wanna be, whoever you are,
Exactly.
and love you for that. It makes you
Yeah.
just wanna keep giving to a community that's giving you so much. And that
Right.
was Podfest. Like I don't get paid by Podfest.
Mm.
I don't get nothing, but I get a lot from just being in that community, all the
Yeah.
connections, all the people in my life right now, all the
Yeah.
things I've experienced is because of Podfest. So why wouldn't
Right.
I, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think people sleep on the power of community and being around like-minded individuals. Like that shit is infectious and you can feel it. Like I left that Podfest. I'm not saying I was feeling down about my podcast. I just knew I'm like 33, 4 episodes deep. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun. Leaving that, I was like, oh, I have a clear vision of what I want to do, how to get there. And there's a slew of people that are willing to help me get there. So I was energized after that and still am.
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
fun.
Definitely was. And I love that about you because again, you went, you met Adam. Adam talked about his podcasts, and there you go. Because sometimes people we go to this, we make these connections, but then when we come back, we forget about those connections. But you
Yeah,
gotta continue nurture those connections. You gotta show up
right.
for those people's shit to keep
Hmm.
on creating that bond bigger, and that's
Right.
how. So I am happy that you actually went to the podcast and look
Yeah.
what it turned out for you. And now you even got me like, damn, I actually haven't been to poppers in a minute. So next year, I know tomorrow when Adam normally sends his emails on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. I know I'll be getting with when his email comes out tomorrow. There'll be a link
Yeah.
to schedule the one in April because he does them once a month. So I'm
Right.
definitely getting back on that. But
Awesome.
we've talked enough about Podfest. You know, we can talk. I can talk about Podfest all along. And I
Right.
actually, for those who want to know more about Podfest, I'll be having Chris, Glenn, Jody, and Peter and I doing a live tomorrow at 1 where
Nice.
we'll be talking
Oh,
because we got awarded this year. So we'll be talking
yeah.
about the Community Hero Award and a little
Okay.
bit about Podfest. But also, there's a town hall meeting tomorrow at 11 to 12 where Podfest is going to be making some big announcements. So make sure you
Ooh.
join that one.
Yeah. Okay. You said 11:30.
11 o'clock. Did you get the email?
I got it. I haven't checked my email at all today, so I'm
Yeah, but check it.
hopefully.
They sent emails actually this morning about was it this morning or yesterday? But even if you don't or you don't find it, just DM me and I'll send you
Okay.
the link for the meeting. But it is
All right.
tomorrow at 11 because they
Awesome.
are coming up with the AI masterclass, which is happening in
Oh
April.
yeah.
So
Okay. I did see that email. All right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll be
yeah.
there.
All right, man. Let's get into why we are here today.
Yes.
And I love that me and you have the same purpose. Our podcasting wanted to create safe space for creative journeys and the mental health struggles. So I want to hear from you. Like, what made you decide to have that space? Why create a safe space for people to nurture their mental health with their creative journeys? Because most people in the creative space don't actually most people don't consider mental health as part of
Right.
anything while creating
True.
anything. You know, so let me not just go on the creative side, but also when I was building my creative, that's why I pivoted because in the beginning my podcast was all about mental health stories and journeys and all that. So season 1 and 2 was that.
Yeah.
Then we rebranded. That's when the new logo came and was like, okay, for creative journeys, because now I was like, I'm in this space. I want to be in this space. And I'm seeing the struggles I have to go with isolation, lack of support, and giving
Mm-hmm.
out finances. And that also still fucks with your mental health,
Yes.
like the
For sure.
depression, the anxiety. Where's this money coming from? Where's this? All the money is going out. I ain't getting money in. I gotta
Yeah.
sleep. I gotta eat. So all that. So I created that because I was like, fuck, I don't have that. And I want to hear people's journeys, right? I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
what they do when they have these struggles so that the other person who's thinking about getting into this creative world can know that just because we are here right now, that's not where we came from. Like,
Yes.
there's still
Yes.
a lot. Yeah. So what was it for you?
For me, it was a number of things. I would say what got me to start the podcast was I was going through a mental health journey myself. I think it was 20, I want to say 2022. I can't name the company I was at, but I was working full time at a company. I was the manager of IT. I That was my department. I had a good job, but there was something that just wasn't clicking. Um, I remember distinctly there was a position up in a different Charlotte, North Carolina. It was in the company and it was perfect for me. I play video games a lot. I stream, and the position was basically play video games and stream and talk about the company. And I was like, that I do that all the time. So I went to my manager. I was like, look, I think this would be a great opportunity for me and my family to move up there, yada yada yada. They were like, cool, go ahead and talk to the manager up there and make it happen. So we did that in December, and I'm getting jazzed. I'm like excited. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I want. And turns out January comes around. They're like, yeah, we're gonna go a different route. And like that crushed me. Like I I've been fortunate enough that my mental has been at a spot where I feel like anything I put my mind to, I can achieve. And that was the first time where it was like, nah, you can't, not this time. And it just like it made me question a bunch of stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And it led me down a road of figuring out myself, like questioning my beliefs about myself, doing a lot of mental health checks, just seeing what was out there in regard to the topic of just anxiety and stuff like that. And so eventually, long story short, I left that spot. I put my 2 weeks in. I've been doing the entrepreneurship thing since. And I started the podcast because I see a lot of creators who are talking in a way that it's just not true. We lie to ourselves a lot. We put a lot of extra pressure on ourselves that we don't have to. And the purpose of the podcast is so I can have those conversations with other creators to not only A, show you that you're not the only one that feels like that, but B, you thought this person was like they're up here and they feel like this, but they're still doing it. And so it's not only like, okay, they feel like this, but they still got through it. How did they do that? And I think the more stories we hear like that, the I won't say easier, but the easier it is to figure out how to deal with it ourselves. And it's been fun and a lot of good has been coming out of it. And I'm so excited to see what the future of the podcast goes. I have so many ideas, but one step at a time. But yeah, that's what got me to start doing it.
That. I love how you recognize it for yourself, and you're like, fuck this shit. Like, and that's the well, some people don't have the I don't think it's even the privilege. I think it's just kind of betting on yourself, being ready
Yeah,
to just be like, listen, this company clearly doesn't give a fuck about me,
exactly.
and it's now time to do. And most people don't have the support that comes in
Yes,
betting on yourself, right?
exactly.
So, how were you able to bet on yourself and just be like, fuck it?
That's so it was twofold. One the thing that got me to even think about quitting is during that time COVID we were all working from home, and for my job as an IT, like the only thing I would need to go into the building for was to like check inventory. Other than that, I can remote into your computer and fix everything. So there was no reason for me to be in the office, but the older heads up top were like, no, we need you in the office 4 out of 5 days. So I was
Oh
like, I don't want to
wow.
lose my job. Yeah, right. I was like, I don't want to lose my job. So I went in one day and I wear an Apple Watch. I've never seen an alert on my Apple Watch go off until that day. I looked down and my heart rate was like at 140 and I was having an anxiety like attack because I had an office, but there were people in my office and they weren't wearing a mask. And I was real skittish about that at the time. So I was like, nah, I can't do this. And I went, talked to my wife. I was like, look, financially we're good until I find a new like the finances weren't an issue, but the mental of you thinking I feel like there's a thought that everybody has is if I don't have a job, I'm going to be homeless. Or if I don't
Oh
have a
my God,
job, I'm going to be a
me.
broke.
Yes,
See? Right.
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
even though we had everything was paid for, and luckily I got a severance package from that job, so that set us up for like 6 7 months. But the mental part was the hardest part to get over. Like once I was like, look, worst case scenario, I'll drain our 401k. I'll figure some shit out, but I cannot work here anymore. And once we came to that decision, I was like, all right, I'm done. That first month was scary as fuck because the whole time I was waking up like, oh, I'm supposed to be at work. Oh no, I'm not. Oh, what this bill's gonna get paid? Oh no, we're good. Oh, I don't have a job. Like question in my butt. Like once I figured out it was good, and I was like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want now. Like there's no stopping me. Like if I have an idea and I want to implement it, there's nobody telling me no. And I think that was the biggest thing with the corporate job. Like I had a lot of people saying, no, you can't do that, or no, that's not a good idea, or no, that's in the budget, mixed with a bunch of like misogynistic and like crazy shit that was happening at work. I was like, I can just take my creative mind, do it myself,
Wait,
and
exactly.
get paid to do it myself. So, and that's what I've been doing. I've been nothing but happy. And I wouldn't say that everybody should do it because, again, there is a large mental jump that you need to take. But once you do it, you realize there's nothing but bliss on the other side. Like the scary shit you were telling yourself isn't there. So think about it. At least like weigh the pros and cons to see like, can I like do stop working for somebody else and do this my own? It might be possible for you.
Now, I'm very happy for the honesty you shared in here. First of all, shout out to the supportive wife. Anybody
Yes.
who has a supportive
Yes.
spouse, that kind
Mhm.
of helps a little bit because we know when it comes to going after your dreams, especially when in the entrepreneurship world, right?
Mhm.
Especially now in the creative side.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of starving artists and everything on the creative side compared to any
Right.
other, like, musicians who have been trying to chase that dream for like
Mhm.
20 years, they're still
Yeah.
chasing. So it's scary when you tell your spouse, like, I'm quitting my corporate job
Yeah.
to be a full-time entrepreneur in the creative space, right?
Yes.
But so shout out to that for being supportive, but also
Mhm.
there's that thing like, okay, you had a cushion, right? Like
Yeah.
you were being good, but still with that, for like a month, your mental health still messed up with you. Now,
Yeah.
how would you advise somebody who has no cushion, right? Who
Yeah.
they're living either paycheck to paycheck or working in
Mhm.
that retail world, just trying to make ends meet. But
Yeah.
again, these companies don't really give a fuck about us. So you're
Right.
like, I'm literally wasting my time, but I still got bills to pay, right? And I
Yeah.
still gotta do all this. How would you advise them to bet on themselves in a way where they can set themselves up, not only mentally, but
Yeah.
in the path that they choose to be? Because however much we want to set ourselves up mentally,
Mhm.
it will still hunt us. Like it will still peep in every now
Yes.
and then.
Yeah.
Like, like we grown people, we know they're no ghosts, but every now and then when you hear a crack on the
Yeah,
room
you're
somewhere,
like,
you're like, is that a ghost? Like, bro,
"What?"
are you
Okay.
not?
That is funny. Yeah. I guess like so when I was working full time, I still was streaming and creating content. There was a juggle that I had to do mentally, and I would say this: if you have to have your 9 to 5 to pay the bills, that makes sense. Remember to turn your brain off when you leave work. Like when you're at work, do what you got to do, but when it's time to go, like try to check out mentally. And then from that time until you get back, that's you time. um Figure out what you want to do and like for real dedicate time to it. Don't think about the, oh, what if I don't ever do this, or don't think about what if nobody sees my content. Like when you start focusing on your content, just focus on what you want to happen. Like, you know what, it's gonna be dope when 4,000 people see this video, or it's gonna be dope when 10,000 people are subscribed to my podcast. Start thinking in that way. And just, I know it's gonna be hard, but try to not think about the, oh, what if this doesn't happen? That shit doesn't exist. We're just telling ourselves that because that's what we do. Like we've been taught through TV, through our parent, like everybody is like, hey, make sure you have a backup plan. And I think like thinking in that way puts a little doubt in us, and that doubt just starts to grow. Like it's bigger and bigger. So I started off 2024 like this. I've told my community like I am delusional when it comes to whatever it is that I want to create. My podcast is going to have 10,000 people listening to that thing by the end of the year because that's what I need. I feel like that's a good round number for a podcast to be at. So that's delusional me is like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but that's the goal. That's what we're pushing towards. And once you start thinking like that, the little things don't matter anymore. Like you don't, I'm not thinking about, oh, I didn't put the right shirt on today and somebody's gonna flame me for, like, it don't matter. Like I know what the end goal is. If you set your mind to that, then that's what it becomes. So I guess to put a little bow on it, if you still got to do the full time, again, check out when you're done. At 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm done with this job, and then it's you time, and give your you time all of you. And I think you could be successful in that way as well.
So true. And because also that in giving your you time, I realized the reason I was failing, and not failing because people fear the word fail or to fail
Yes.
like it's such a
Mhm.
bad thing. But when I
Right.
say failing, I'm not meaning because there's never a failure.
Right.
You left with something. Either it taught you a
Exactly.
lesson, either you learned that the way you are doing it is a no. Either like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this really ain't the time for this shit. So there's always
Right.
something that comes with failure. So it's really not
Exactly.
failing. But it also comes along with discipline. So this year I said my word was going to be discipline, which I was doing kind of well in January until I went to Podfest, and then when I came back, I lost. Like I feel like after coming
Yeah.
back to Podfest, the recovering, the entire February just
Yeah.
went by. Like I know it
Yeah.
was there, but and I know it took longer than January normally does,
Right.
maybe because it was leap year, but this February was
Exactly.
dragging as fuck. But I took a break from being disciplined because again I was just recovering from the high of Podfest. Like
Yeah.
Podfest always gives me such high, and then coming back home, you have all these ideas, you want to execute everything, and everything
Exactly.
is moving fast. But discipline is such a big factor in growing, whether it's your content world, your creation journey, you
Hmm.
as a person, your whatever journey you're going into. Discipline is such a key factor that we tend to forget because I remember, and I shared this, and until today, it still pains me because I'm
Oh.
a foodie. Like, I like to
Uh-huh.
eat. Despite
Yeah.
how I look, I eat as fuck, okay?
Yeah.
And I was invited, shout out to SA, another Podfest family I met through Podfest, and we've created a connection. I love him. I
Mhm.
work with him. I call him my mentor. He's the
Yeah.
reason how I got into branding, and I'm always branding. So
Yes.
he has also this foodies group where we meet up and do different types of food,
Oh,
and
okay.
people, we just hang out, families and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So I got invited, and one of my a friend who I just met at Podfest Global. So Podfest Global is the one we do normally around March, which
Okay.
I'm not sure if this year is gonna be since they're doing the AI masterclass, but it
Yeah.
normally goes around March and it's virtually for like not even a week, but something like a week or so.
Gotcha.
So it was last year virtually. He was presenting, I was presenting. We met up in a meetup, and our journeys were kind of similar. His podcast was comfort via discomfort, or the other way around, something about
Okay.
getting yourself from the comfort zone and being
Oh, yeah.
discomfort to go.
Gotcha.
Yes, so his podcast ended up being is the anniversary the same month and year as mine, but his was turning 1 and mine was turning 3. So we're
Oh,
like,
okay.
yo, we should have each other on our podcast. Let's do instead of having each other, let's do one episode of like an anniversary episode, like a
Yeah.
collabo. So
Nice.
it happened that he was going to Canada. He lives in Alabama. He's
Uh-huh.
from Canada, but his wife is American. They were going to Canada for a holiday, but when they were coming back, they were stopping over Atlanta and driving to Alabama.
Oh,
So it was like, do
nice.
you want to do it in person? I was like, fuck yeah, you know,
Hell
why,
yeah.
why would I miss up the opportunity of meeting you and you're in my city, right? So we met
Exactly.
up at my place. We turned up, and I thought it was gonna take like an hour or so, and then from there
Yeah.
I was gonna go to the barbecue. I even told them I was like, yeah, if you guys are not in a rush to drive home, you can come with me. It's cool people. It's also podcasters and stuff.
Yeah.
But we ended up recording for 3 hours. 3 motherfucking hours. By the time I was done, they were ready. Like the potluck was over, and I was
Yeah.
like, shit. I
That's
just need, and
awesome.
I was seeing the pictures on Facebook of all the food. There was frogs, there
Oh,
was this,
oh
there was this, there was this.
no. Yeah.
But, but in my head, I was like, but this is discipline. Like, I could have
True.
easily said, we don't have to do it in person. Let's record
Hmm.
another time. You just go home or
Right.
anything. But because I knew how much it mattered to me and how much when you're constantly doing virtual interviews and you finally
Mhm.
get to do in person, like there's a difference. Like,
Yes.
yes, you see the energy is there, but imagine if we were literally sitting
Exactly.
next to each other
Right.
and so I was like, discipline is like you really have to be like, yo, I'm gonna miss this barbecue, yo, I'm gonna miss
Yeah.
this trip because I gotta show up for this conference, I gotta show up
Exactly.
for this event because these things are helping my business.
Yes. Yes. You know what? To add to that, I think because doing that, like you said, you're a foodie and you missed out on this extravagant book. Like it was all there waiting for you, but the discipline kicked in. And I think one way to keep you motivated to keep that discipline is I do this a lot. When I visualize what my future life is going to be like, I go deep. Like I imagine what I'm going to be eating for breakfast. I imagine what clothes I'm going to be wearing. I imagine what type of equipment I'm going to be using when I'm recording a podcast. I imagine all that crazy shit because I don't remember who told me this, but I feel like your mind cannot tell the difference between some shit that happened or didn't happen. Like your mind sees it and it's like, oh, okay, let me react off that. So I'm gonna be pumping it full of this amazing. I got 4 Apple Vision Pros. Be fucking why not? They gave them to me. That's what the future looks like. So when I am sitting here, I'm like, man, I really want to go downtown, but I have not edited my podcast and needs to go out tomorrow. I think about that. I'm like, you know what? All right, I can miss one day. I can miss one day. I'll make up for it in the future. I'll do something crazy dope when I get to where I want to get to. So I think using that as motivation to get that discipline like locked in has helped me a lot. So
And that's so true. It's funny you say that because even me, sometimes I'm like, listen, it's okay. And especially when I see pictures, right? And I'm like, I want to be there. I should be there. But then I'm like, but once you get this shit done, because you're supposed to be here now, imagine the shit you will be able to do once this place takes you to where you need to be. Because I want a full ass life. I want to travel. I want to be like contact my assistant. Like I want to be like just catching flights and not worrying about my card being declined. Like not where you have to find log into your bank account to make sure do I have enough of this before I join you all for dinner and shit. So it's all the sacrifices you're making now are what you're gonna end up exploding more of in the future. So most of us don't think like that, and I think also a lot of young people right now, because we want that fast happening. Like, okay, if it's not happening now, like the amount of times people ask me, how you do a podcast, how much do you make, what do you make? I'm like, do you know there's more to the money? Like podcast is not technically supposed to bring you, depending on your marketing and who you are, it can bring you a lot of money, but you know, Joe Rogan didn't get there just by, he was already a person with so much shit before he started a podcast. So, you know, we are not all there. And there are people who make a lot of money, not from their podcast, but because of their podcast. So people always assume because you have a podcast, it should be that. No, my podcast is a gateway to speaking gigs. You can get paid to speak. You can get paid to whatever your business is that you're advertising on your podcast. You can get new customers. You can get new opportunities. I've seen people being in podcasts as guests or even just starting a stupid podcast, and now they ended up getting job offers of their dream jobs, but they didn't know it was their dream job at the time.
Exactly. Like that's the cool part about like just following what you love and what you love to do. You can run into some shit. Like I didn't even, honestly, if I'm being honest, I've been avoiding doing podcasts my entire content creation career. I've been on a number of them, but I never ran one myself because I was like, oh, it's too hard. It's going to be hard to edit. It's going to be hard to host. That, again, lies I was telling myself. I do it weekly now. Like there's a routine, clip, edit, post, words, and it's done. And it's just part of the everyday thing that I do. So, and now I love it. Like I love talking to people. I love getting deep with mental issues. I love questioning people. I'm like, why do you think that about yourself? And like it's just I love it.
Those deep conversations, I tell people I would have never had as many conversations as I've had if it wasn't for my podcast. And to even be the person who I am, I feel like my podcast has helped me grow into the person I wanna be, because every conversations I have, I learn shit either I don't like about myself, or I like, or I want more of myself. But something, I learned something. And that's why then on my podcast, I tell people, I'm not canceling no motherfucker. I don't care what you do or who you are. Come on my podcast and let's talk about it. Because I'd rather understand why you're doing something or where you're coming from with that. Even if I'll never be like, you know what? That's not for me, but I at least get why you're doing it. Because we are so quick into judging and
Yes.
canceling instead of actually having those conversations and just asking out of curiosity, why have
Right.
you chosen that truth? Why are you doing this? Why are you supporting
Exactly.
this? Why are you a part of this? And once you hear the stories, you might still not like it, you might still not get it, but you'll
Mm-hmm.
understand why they decided to do that. And that's what
Right.
I want. I want to unlearn all the shit that was put in my head with all
Yes.
these so-called, all these things that were supposed to be the things were supposed, the norm.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yes.
no fucking norm. I want to unlearn the
Exactly.
norm and create my own norm. Like, who
Yes.
says that
Yes.
has to be the normal reality? Like, who
Exactly.
says success means having a corporate job? Who says
Yep.
success means, you can
Exactly.
define success for yourself or anything as long as you're willing to unlearn shit and switch your mindset. And that's why podcasting is so amazing, having these
Mm-hmm.
conversations.
Yes, you nailed it. Like unlearning all the stuff that told us what success looks like, told us what we're supposed to be, like challenging all of that stuff, having a platform to do it, and just living in again unadulterated you. This is who I am. This is what I do. Like I love that shit. And again, talking to other people about it, I don't see why more people don't do it. It's addicting.
But that's the thing. I think like we kind of had a late start into this, but look at the Gen Zs. Like the Gen Zs just came in and be like, "Fuck your 9 to 5s, fuck your
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
fuck."
yeah, yeah,
We're just
yeah,
gonna go on our own way. Like they don't.
yeah.
Uh, they still need some lessons in humbleness and reality. But I
Yes,
like the energy they
right,
bring with what they stand for. Like I feel
exactly.
like most of us need that energy because
Hmm.
I've been in retail for most of my life, most of my America life,
Yeah,
and just seeing how the Gen Zs have that I don't give a fuck attitude to the extent that it pisses you off because this is retail, fine, you're not supposed to take it seriously, but I would
right,
still want you to do your job so that I don't
exactly.
have to do your job.
Yes,
But I like how they really don't give a fuck. Like
yeah, yeah,
I would be worried about, oh my god, I wanna call out. What excuse am I coming?
yes,
Gen Zs don't even call out, they don't even
yeah.
text to tell
I'm
you they're
not
not.
coming in. Hey, ain't Susie supposed to be here? Or nah, she just said fuck it, I'm not coming. It was like, wow, I need some of that in my life. Guess I'm
But
doing her job.
I know, right? But they did teach me, and that's when I decided to. I was in retail, but I was very open with my managers about my mental health, and I would
Mm,
literally call out and say, "My mental health cannot handle this today. If you want to
hey,
fire me for that, that's perfectly fine.
yeah,
But if I do come in, you're gonna fire me because this mental health that I'm dealing with is gonna come to you, to the customers, to everybody. So there's
right?
100% chance I'm getting fired if I
Yeah,
walk in."
exactly. So I'm just gonna take my chances at home and call it a day. I'm not trying to curse anybody out.
I was trying to be those people. How you get fired from on your day off, like while you're home, like.
Yes, that was about to be you. Yeah.
But so I love the name of your podcast, Uploaded and Unfiltered. Like, how did you
Yes.
come? I really always like knowing how people came up with their podcasting name because it does go with what you're talking about. Because we are uploading our raw, honest, our truth, our lives
Yeah.
out there. Like
Hmm.
it's literally uploaded now. Like there's
Exactly.
no, and then unfiltered. That's the raw, honest. Like
Yeah.
fuck it. This is my struggles. This is what I'm dealing with.
Exactly.
This is what's going on. So how
Yeah.
did you end up choosing like uploaded, unfiltered? Like when was that?
Oh my
That's
god.
it.
This so I have like historically have issues naming stuff. So when I came to the podcast name, I was like, listen, I want to talk to other creators about their journey and their content creation journey, mental health, all that fun stuff. And I was like, don't overthink this because if I overthink this, it's gonna be 3 weeks before I think of a name. I was like, you have it to the end of today. So I had like 12 hours. I was like, end of today, you better have a fucking name or you're not doing this. This is how I talk to myself sometimes. But I was like,
You
all
better
right,
give yourself a deadline.
yes. If I don't give myself a deadline, it's not getting done. That's just how I work. But so I was like, all right, upload. The first one was like conversations with creators, and I just didn't like the way it rolled off the tongue. And
Conversation with
so
creator.
I was like, that word, and I'm pretty sure there's a podcast out there that already exists that says that. So I was like, all right, I just need to upload these real quick, and we're gonna say whatever the fuck we want. And I was like, hold on. I was like, unfiltered. I like unfiltered. What goes with that? I was like, uploaded just came out of nowhere. And I was like, all right, I definitely want unfiltered in because yeah, we curse and say whatever on my podcast. But granted, we do like there's some certain topics we just don't talk about. And before every guest, I send out a survey to my guests and like, hey, what are the things you want to talk about? What are the things you want to avoid? And certain stuff like that. And so far, nobody has said anything. Everybody's like, no, we can talk about whatever you want. And I'm like, yes, all right. But yeah, it was out of the blue, just uploaded on Philly. It just felt right, and because of that deadline, I stuck with it.
I love it, and it really works. And I'm like I don't talk about politics or religion in an intense way on my podcast because I feel like everybody has the right to support, to believe, to do whatever. And I know how it can easily go 0 to 100 real quick. Like I've been in situations where people, it just starts as a normal conversation, and next thing you know, you're like, damn. But if we're talking casual, like, yes, I believe in God, I pray, and like that casual on top, sprinkling it,
like,
that's how we go.
But but once you go past, I'm like, all right, man, chill, relax.
So far, you're 33 episodes in. What would you say out of your 33? I know all the conversations have been very inspiring, insightful, motivation, because why else do we have this platform? Every conversation, every guest brings in what. But what is that one episode that really, like, in this 33 so far, that really was like, yo, that was a moment, like either mentally, emotionally, or whatever, like that really like felt in you, like, I mean, I know all my episodes are fucking good, but this really awakened something in me.
Let me think. There was early on, there was a streamer by Miss Kaylee, Red Carpet Gaming. She went when I first was watching her content, she was under a different name, different like profile, and she did a rebrand. And in my mind, at the time, doing a rebrand of your socials was like crazy. Like that's gonna be one of the hardest things you ever did. And so in my head, it was just like, nope, never doing that. And she did it, and she just talked through that process of doing it. And yeah, she was scared to do it, but she still went through it, and nothing bad happened. Only good stuff happened, and it worked for her. And like after hearing that, I was like, okay. And so I finally, for the longest, I've had my uploaded unfiltered podcast going to YouTube, but I had it under my other profile that was like mostly gaming and tech news. And I was like, I could just make my own YouTube channel for uploaded unfiltered. And there's no there's no negative. I kept thinking I was like something bad's gonna happen. So I was like, oh. So I took 4 or 5 hours to upload everything, retag everything, do thumbnails, and then I just did it. And I was like, I would have never done this if I didn't hear her talk about her rebrand. And stuff like that happens all the time. So definitely that one like unlocked something. I wasn't expecting to do work after that podcast, but after listening to it, I was like, oh, nothing bad is gonna happen. Let me go ahead and start the work. And I loved it. It was great.
I feel that, and I remember I saw Meredith speak at Podfest, and she was talking about episode titles, and I was already on season 4, and every season has 15 episodes. But I legit came back home and changed all my fucking titles. That's how much it was like, you can actually do this, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, even though sometimes because you were saying I could never rebrand, but it's funny because once you're in this business, you will see you'll end up rebranding like 2-3 times. Like I never thought I would rebrand. I thought that logo I had in the beginning I would die with, and here we go. We have a new logo, and now I have Shit Happens, which has a new logo, and I'm like, how do I? Yeah, I'm like, how do I put all of them? So my friend drew this. Anytime you go on a podcast, she draws you like a pop-up cartoon, and then I turned it into a logo.
That is fire. Oh, that's awesome.
So it's funny that you think it will never be you to rebrand, but being in this industry, you are constantly rebrand because we are also constantly growing. So you outgrow your own shit.
Right. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because I've been thinking, not that I want to change my podcast, but I've been thinking of ways to enhance it. And I've been going both ways. Like part of me is like, you just stop with the trying to change shit. But like after hearing you, I'm like, no, this is probably necessary. This is to go to that next level. This is what I'm gonna have to do. And I think I'm almost there to just be like, all right, let's make it happen.
The only thing I always say is always let your listeners know on what is coming instead of shocking them. So even me, when I was rebranding, it was during the time I was like, I'm gonna wait for this season to end, and then when I come back with a new season, that's when I will do it. And I literally, when I ended the season, I told them new season is gonna come with new things. Stay updated on my social media where I'll be posting shit. So I started teasing on social media and doing that, and people love it. I actually wasn't sure how my new logo people will take it, but people loved it so much. I was like, oh my god, okay, so cool. We can do more playing around with shit.
Yes.
So, and it's fun to do that. And I was actually looking at your episodes, and I think I'll go start listening to Shoot Your Shot because I'm a firm believer in shooting your shot. And I always tell people, half of the time I have listeners on my show is I use my dating apps and I swipe for guests, not for people to date.
Okay.
I promote my podcast on my dating app. Like I DM people like come on my show because I'm already on a no without asking. And if I don't shoot my shot, if I shoot my shot and I get a no, it's still where I was. So there's nothing changes. But at least they know me. At least they've heard about me. They might direct me to a different opportunity. It might not be now, but it might be later on. There's nothing you lose with shooting your shot, but a lot you gain. I started speaking a podcast because I shot my shot, but I was expecting a no because I wanted to train myself to hearing no's as well. And I ended up getting a yes, and I was like, oh fuck, now I gotta really present.
Yeah, I love that. I think once you realize when you hear no, nothing bad's gonna happen, then you're cool with hearing no. Like there's no negative, they're not saying no, you're a bad person and we don't like your face. They're just saying no to the question you ask. You're like, all right, I'm gonna ask again next week, or I'm gonna ask the next person.
Exactly.
It took me a while to get that. Like, not that I didn't like rejection, but I guess I just didn't like hearing no. And now I have to ask people all the time. We all don't like
rejection. We all don't like. We have to train ourselves to accepting rejection, but nobody can come out and tell you, I like rejection. Like you're lying.
You're like, no, I love it. Say no to me, please.
Wow, we are coming to the end of this. This is so much fun. But I would definitely want you to come back. I feel like there's so much more we could unpack.
I agree.
But I'm also trying to make my lives under 1 hour so that they can also go on Instagram. But you know, you have the link and you're welcome anytime. Like, don't wait for me to ask you. I tell any guest who has been on Shit Happens, as long as you have the link, just go ahead and book yourself. Like, oh, you know what? In April, I feel like talking to Paul again. Just go on and book and come back. Because there's a lot of conversations we can have, and we barely just started. Like, look at that.
That is true.
But before we go, there's something that you say through your content, you inspire conversations that empower fellow creatives to thrive both creatively and emotionally, which I so much love because we are constantly trying to see how we can thrive in this industry. But also not just money-wise, financially, but also creative, also emotionally, also, you know. So what advice for those people who are yet to listen to your podcast and hear these conversations, what advice would you give somebody who's trying to figure out how to thrive creatively and emotionally in their creative journey?
I think one thing that helped me a lot, and I tell all my guests this, anybody I'm working with, is you want to make content that you are happy with. Make content that it excites you. Make content that has a purpose to you. And the thing that you really need to do is just ignore everybody who says anything to the contrary of that. And I have an example of that. The Uploaded and Unfiltered started as, again, me wanting to just talk to other creators about their mental health. And in my group, my friend group, I had at least two or three people who were like, "You want to start a podcast? There's like 4,000 podcasts. You don't need to do that." And had I been in a different
Listen.
mindset and listened to them, I wouldn't be here today, because I wouldn't have went to Podfest. I wouldn't have known that this exists, and I wouldn't have had a podcast. But because I is a combination of confidence and cocky, I was like, well, this podcast doesn't exist, and I have not did it yet, so that's why I'm going to do it. Like, after that, then yeah, somebody else could be like, oh, why are you? Because I didn't start it, it didn't exist. I was like, no, I'm doing it, and I just pushed forward with that mentality, not only because it makes me happy, but because I also think it's needed. So my like, if you can lock in on what you want to do and do it with a thought of, this is what I love and this is what I want to put out into the world, and just ignore everybody else, I think that will help you thrive in this journey, especially when you're doing something that you enjoy. It's been like, this has been so much fun, and I'm glad that I actually jumped on the train to start my podcast, because look where we are now.
And that's so true. It's like telling people don't make no more movies because we've had all the storylines. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
go ahead and make your little podcast and watch it thrive.
Exactly.
But thank you all for whoever joined us on Shit Happens. If you're live, if you're
Yes.
watching this on replay, go check out his podcast. Let the people know where they can find you and where they can find your podcast.
You can find me on both Instagram and just the internet as Uploaded and Unfiltered. You can find me on Instagram with that, and you can find the website uploadedandunfiltered.com. I have all my past guests there. Be a player for the podcast itself. Or if you're like me and like to do traditional stuff, you can just search me on Spotify or Apple Music and I'll pop up.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, it was so amazing having you here. I loved your energy. I love being around your podcast, and I feel like we're just getting started with the amazing collaborations we're gonna keep doing. And by the way, where are you located?
I'm in Florida, so I'm Deltona, Florida, so I'm not too far from Atlanta. I'll probably be that way a few times. I'll let you know.
All right, we're family now,
Yes.
and we are not only Podfest family, we are Podpal family, because Adam has created a great community. You should have seen us at Podfest when we're all like as a lobby, and people are like, what the hell is going on? And we're like, this is Podpal's meetup.
Yeah.
And we're like, it was just amazing, great people. But I'll see you tomorrow at the town hall meeting at 11, and for everybody else, we will be back with Shit Happens tomorrow at 1 p.m. Come find out all about Podfest and the award that I won from the people who handed me that award and my fellow recipients. So y'all have a good night, and thank you for making me do a live at 10. I actually enjoyed it. Maybe I should start doing more with you at late nights.
Yeah, all right, I'll be here.
All right, bye, darling.
Bye.